Episode 2 of This Is Fine Dining brings us to Manor in Manchester, the first Michelin-starred restaurant in the city. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Manor.
So I'm Simon Martin. I'm the chef and owner of Restaurant Manor in Manchester. Started out 5 years ago. I was working in Noma before here. Found the space, completely blank canvas, which I needed because I wanted it to be very much exactly how I wanted it to be, from the design, the kitchen. We opened and it was a roller coaster. I'd never been a head chef before, but we made it through, and I think we put out pretty good food from probably month 2 or 3. I think the start I still look back on and laugh at what we were doing. We never said like it's a goal to get a star, but of course it's like an actor winning an Oscar, especially when you're me and you're a chef that's sort of grown up literally in Michelin-starred kitchens, and we just got 14th in the National Restaurant Awards the other day, which I'm super happy with that. Whether we are the 14th best restaurant in the country, I don't think there is such thing as a best restaurant. A lot of my work goes into the guest experience as a whole, and not just stood in the kitchen cooking food. Anything from the playlist to the scent of the hand towels to how much light is emitted in the bathrooms, all the very minor details. But when you have all these little details, they all add up to the experience that I want to provide.
So upon arrival, you see the beautiful Michelin star out in the front and the beautiful presentation. We walked in, we were greeted by the staff very nicely.
So we're in the lounge area at the minute, and what's going to happen is we're having these nice drinks, and then from there we're then going to go to our seat. Should be good, should be very good. You've got that nice citrus flavour coming through. The presentation's fantastic, very nice.
This is a tartare of Scottish langoustine with pickled cucumber and wild garlic. Enjoy it all in one bite.
She recommended that it should be eaten in one bite, and I think that's absolutely spot on. The crisp of the pastry complemented the fine brunoise of the meat. Beautiful, literally melts in your mouth. I wouldn't fault it, and I don't even like raw food.
So this is a cauliflower blini with sweetbread, smoked eel and winter truffle.
The sweetbread has been fried perfectly. They've got the shaved truffle on top, which provides a nice sort of mellow, earthy flavour.
Grab one more bite before we get to the table. This is a crostard filled with baked roux from artichoke and fermented set mushrooms. Please just pick up and enjoy in the one bite.
So we've just been given this menu, and essentially you get a pair of scissors that you can cut into. I think this is a very nice sort of fitting touch. It's almost like theatrical in a sense. It's got my scissors, sort of like Willy Wonka in a chocolate factory. I've got my scissors, I'm going to cut into the menu.
The menu priced at £175 featured all 12 courses. And on that note, we began the main event.
We have hand-dived king scallop from the Shetland Islands, sitting above chawanmushi, a Japanese savoury custard that we steam into the bowl until it's set. Then we top it with a broth made from scallop roe katsuobushi and split that broth with parsley oil.
The scallops have been cooked perfectly. You've got a nice light citrus feel coming in from the custard and the oil as well. It adds sort of like a depth of colour to the dish.
But one thing I would say is I would prefer if there was a different texture. I feel like it all had the same mouthful because the scallop was very gel-like, and then the custard.
So next we've got some turbot that we've very gently poached in a juice made from fermented white asparagus, North Sea mussels and a hot smoked Amila tomato drenched in blackcurrant leaf oil.
David, this is probably the best fish I've had in my life. Turbot is buttery. What? Silky, beautifully cooked. It's glistening. No, I'm a fan. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a fan.
Next we've got some brown crab from down in Rock in Cornwall. We've taken extreme care to remove this meat from the shell of the claw in a whole piece so we can cook it on our barbecue, brushing it with miso butter as we go.
I think this knife is quite exceptional. They're using this for the brown crab, so that'll be a very nice contrast. So it has the same sort of citrus notes as kimchi. For me, it's slightly on the stronger side, the sauce itself.
So as we move through the menu this afternoon, it's now time for Cumbrian hogget. Hogget is teenage sheep. It's younger than mutton but older than lamb, burned from raw on the barbecue over burning beechwood and sycamore charcoal. Served alongside a sabayon made from orange wine and young miso, as well as laminated pastry with Roscoff onion powder and an ethical goose liver parfait with chive powder and onion reduction.
Extremely soft, extremely tender. I just think the addition of the orange wine sauce is a bit too salty for me.
This is me enjoying myself, mate. There's only one word to describe this pastry, the Roscoff onion pastry, perfection, and that is the word I will stick with.
Moving on to a serving which very much sits between savoury and sweet on our menu. The tea I just poured for you is a Japanese green tea called kabusecha. If you've ever had matcha green tea before, this is quite similar. This is much more gentle than matcha, it's quite clean and grassy. What you have in front of you in the bowl is a raw milk sorbet, inoculated with Aspergillus oryzae. Here, it's bringing out all the flavours in this milk that pasteurised milk lacks. Around the outside, you have sorrel juice, parsley oil, and on top, shrinky hybrid caviar with Welsh sea salt.
I think the dry ice on the spoon, even though it's so subtle, it adds to the coldness of the dish. Tiny bit acidic, tiny bit sweet. Let's taste the caviar. I think this is a nice midway dish. Yeah, it calms down the palate a bit, gets us ready for the dessert. Accompanied drink as well. Similar colour, adding to the whole cohesiveness of the dish. Guys, the next dish is beetroot. And we know from episode 1 that I and beetroot do not get along. So I'm very curious to see what it's going to taste like, if it's going to be different from land, how it's going to be cooked. I would be lying if I said looking forward to it. I'm actually very scared. I actually have a big phobia of beetroot. And it's time to face my fears once again. So let's see.
So this is a sheep's cheese mousse with Italian meringue encased in a beetroot gelée. On top, you've got some young marigold cress. Around the outside is a juice made from mulled beetroots with salted elderflower oil.
Guys, you know that cheese that they sell in the shop? Yeah, that packaged cheese. I can't remember the name, but the cheese that has the red cover over it. This looks exactly like that, and this is goat's cheese. You know when I was like, oh, I'm really scared to try beetroot? This is not beetroot. This is beetroot elevated. Like, compare. Let me not do that actually.
This sort of resembles, so it's cheese, but it resembles the texture of panna cotta. Yeah. So I am enjoying this. It's gorgeous, very nice.
I really love the high ceiling because it makes the place seem so airy and spacious. It gives a real comfy feel.
Went through a few different iterations of this one before I was happy with it, but I'm just about happy with it now. So it's quite a few different sort of subtle textures based on apples and brambles. So we use blackcurrant wood, so not the blackcurrant berry, we use the bush, and we extract an oil out of it and then make an oil-based ice cream. And it's a woodruff mousse, and on the top is some cheese rocks. So it's in several different layers, so make sure you go all the way down to the bottom and get all the layers together.
The plate is so cold, guys. Ice cold, and it's beautiful. And I really love how Manor plays with temperatures in terms of like doing a lot of dry ice work. They use it to play with the dish. It's represented in the temperature of the food. We've had the hot dishes, we had the spicy adobo sauce before, and then now we're getting this cold dessert. If you see the dish, the whiteness, very pure.
The texture of the mousse sort of ties in very, very well with the flavour of the apples. The dish itself is very refreshing.
One thing I would say is that I feel like it's missing a component. While the flavours work well together, it's all very similar. I really, really enjoyed the dish. I would just like some more excitement, some razzle dazzle.
In front of you, you've each got a roasted buckwheat fudge with coffee kombucha and oregano. Now, this is a frozen fudge because it's summer now, or they say it is. Next to it, you've got a cream donut glazed in single origin chocolate filled with a vanilla and miso creme pat. Finally, in the middle, you've each got a piece of cake made in the style of English carrot cake, but instead using parsnips. We've emulsified the cream cheese frosting and the sponge with a little bit of hogget fat from one of your savoury servings.
It's like a quality street chocolate. It's not overly sweet, which I appreciate.
Guys, I'm going to be honest, I don't like it. But it doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it's not to my taste. It's very moist, very fluffy. This is actually really this is like the more of a savoury type of dessert, and it's a perfect way to end the meal. Really like it. I'm a fan.